Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horrornightoasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you there?
I am here.
I know we talked a little before off air, but how's everything going on your end?
Not too bad.
I'm right there with you. It's a little bit of a hiccup on my end, the start of the week, but things happen and you just have to move forward. Don't really want to get into the specifics or details at the moment, but it's some pretty heavy news happened earlier in the week pertaining to someone I knew, and you just have to pick your spirits up, and that's what we're here to do. And what better way than to discuss movies, especially horror movies, and of course on top of that, a brand new marathon, which we started on a whim last year because we had 3 weeks of nothing, and we just decided, you know what? Let's do some werewolf movies. And we came up with The Fall of Beast Feast, where we discuss a handful of werewolf movies. So it was a mini marathon. Now it's a full-fledged marathon. And I'm looking forward. I always look forward to the marathons, always do. It seems like all we do is marathons. But, werewolf movies are hard to come by. Good ones, that is. So it's always interesting to go through the catalog and see if one stands out above the rest, because a lot of them, again, if compared to last year's marathon, they weren't all that great, but there was some effort put into a few of them at least. But hopefully we'll be able to come out with one or two that are okay at best. And so what better way to kick it off than to begin with our film Wolf Hollow. Wolf Hollow came out, it says 2023, by Mark Cantu, written and directed by Mark Cantu. And it follows, well, before we get into what the story follows, we're introduced to a bunch of people at a party, camping, having fun. And they're just going about drinking, all the normal stuff. And they get picked off one by one by a werewolf in the woods, and so that happens at the beginning of the film, and then we are a year later down the road, and the owners of it's like a farmland that they use for like a haunted attraction sometimes, but it's defunct. And basically, the mayor, played by the girl that was in the Siren in the VHS, and of course the subsequent film that was made. I forgot her name, but she's the mayor, and they want to basically purchase the land from Felissa Rose, who her name is Evie, and Bart. And basically, they want to purchase the land for some kind of reasoning. It's not really fully brought up, but they want to do something with it. And of course, they're reluctant to go through with the deal. And we're also introduced to a handful of characters, which I didn't list all of them, but it's at least there's names to faces, which can't be said for a lot of the films that we review. But like every other line was actually the character's name, so it was like that was good. But I didn't write all of them down. Because I wanted to wait till the end of the movie for like the main characters to basically like which ones I should follow, because I didn't want to write down someone's name and like they died 2 seconds later. So we have Ray, who is the brother of Bart, who owns the Wolf Hollow property that they're wanting to the mayor's wanting to buy. And so he is part of this film crew, this production crew, and Alex is the director. It's a lady, but she's the director of this project, and it's supposed to be this World War II sort of film. It's kind of weird that they're going through there, and it's like not a horror. And we're not going to make a horror film. Like usually when they go to these old places, it's usually like they're making a horror film. But this one's like a World War II film about a lone soldier in this part of the woods that trying to do something. But yeah, to get to this, they're driving through town, and again, a lot of characters, but mainly Ray and Alex. And we're also introduced to the star of the film, Marla Taylor. She's an aging film actress, used to, the silver screen legend, basically, where she used to be this glamorous, you know, um, sort of, I wouldn't say Betty Davis, but not Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway played her in Mommy Dearest. I forgot her name, but Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford. Sort of like a Joan Crawford character, where it's just this luxurious, high end actress, but she's in this low budget B film basically, and she's, of course, she has her needs and woes. Um, Things aren't going her way in a sense, but she's still like this aging, glamorous screen, silver screen legend, basically. And she's played by Lynn Lowry. So she does a good job, honestly. Lynn does. And so they go to the town, which again Ray used to live in, and he's sort of disconnected from Bart. And so they go to the farm where the haunt place is. Basically Wolf Hollow is the name of the town, and so they start going there. They do some location scouting, and soon after they get there, they're attacked by a werewolf, and they're kind of running and doing a bunch of things. Another predicament happens with a gun, and then like again, it sets into more of a string of events as they are running through the forest and then back to their RV as they're getting picked off and attacked by a werewolf, basically. There's some more story beats involved, but I don't want to get too deep into spoilers just yet. But we have that going on, and then there's like a tiny subplot, again, of the mayor. She's like, I guess at the mayor's office, sheriff's office is like the same place almost, and like we're following some of the deputies and sheriffs, and then we're following the store owner at the gas station. There's like a subplot with him. So there's like a few little subplots that just sort of converge and connect as the film progresses. But mainly it's just Ray and Alex and also Lucky, which is like again probably the best character in the film, as they're just getting picked off and attacked by werewolves. And overall, honestly, it's not bad. It's not that bad of a film. Comparatively speaking, it probably is better than the three that we reviewed last year for the Fall of Beast Feast. There's some good practical effects and gore. The werewolf costume isn't bad for what it is. There's one transformation that involves someone it's more of a skinwalker outfit than it is a werewolf, and like there's some other werewolves that are basically just long fingernails, eye contacts, and sharp teeth things. So there's a few instances like that where it's like, okay, so we just got the one good suit, and we're just gonna use it sparsely, and that's what they kind of do. The story, for what it is, I mean, it's not the most original film crew going somewhere getting attacked by something. I mean, the snarling was similar like that, but the snarling is not very good. And again, it's just the story is just like, it's a fine story to set everything in motion, but once it gets going, it just kind of doesn't really set the fire to your ass. It's just like, it's there, but it doesn't really pick. There's that middle section after a certain character dies, and then it just kind of hits a lull, and then it just kind of
Yeah.
meanders around for a little bit with characters interacting with one another, some sort of fighting, dialogue here and there, uh, disagreements from certain characters. Um, so there's sort of a love interest, not really a love interest, but like two characters that are two gay characters in a relationship, and they're just kind of going back and forth, not wanting to die or anything, just like getting strength to overcome this obstacle of a werewolf colony. And again, it's not the most enticing or exciting film in the middle act. Not to say that they don't have some good moments. Like again, there's some okay moments that happen. Especially some of the practical gore that gets shown throughout. Especially Lucky, like he goes through a lot, and like he gets his arm ripped off, blood's coming out, and then he has a big hurrah towards the finale, where he loses his other arm and then gets vomited all over. So he has like one of the better moments of the movie. Like I said, like the werewolf, for what it is, it's good. Better than expected. Honestly, I didn't expect it to look that good. It's nothing amazing, but it works for what they're going with. It sort of has, like the film sort of has like it's not exactly like tongue in cheek, but it's not like full on straight. So there's a little bit of camp in there throughout, but it's not like over, in your face straightforward. So there's a little bit of fun that they're having fun with.
Yeah.
That kind of works for it. But again, that middle section just kind of dampers the film more than necessary, and you're just, after all is said and done, you're just kind of sitting there like, well, that wasn't bad. It's one of the better werewolf films, but it's kind of forgettable. And it's just like, if it wasn't for like a few standout moments and like the werewolf and the gore, like this would just be like just like a blah watch. But it has like okay scenes, and like again, the story's nothing amazing, and like it follows all the same beats, but it's just that middle section where like they're in the camper and just like nothing's really happening. And I mean, they keep it a decent pace, like always something happening for the most part, with the certain character interactions or disagreements. When like when things get revealed as the plot goes on, and certain characters show their true colors and other things like that. But it's just like it's not as exciting as it wants to be. Like it's like in the film's mind, it's like this exciting werewolf movie, and it kind of shows that like they want to be this very exciting film. But when you're watching it, it just kind of delves off that path a little bit, and just it's not as exciting as they want it to be. Which again, I don't know how it goes that way, but it did, in my opinion. Like again, it has a strong opening and a strong ending, but the middle section is just a little just too meandering. Even though there's a lot of stuff getting revealed and plot devices, but it just there needed to be something to keep the more quicker pace. And it's not it's not a long movie either. It's like 76 minutes minus the mid-credit scene. So it's like it's interesting to see. It's like it's this very quick-paced movie, but it just felt like that middle is just not as quick-paced as they wanted it to be, and they're just not exciting as it should be. But Ian, I'll give you your thoughts, and then we'll go back and forth.
I mean, the film looked really well. I didn't really hate the way the werewolf looked, but it was like, I don't know, like I felt like there was some parts of the movie kind of missing. Just like with the brother and the werewolf thing, and just everything happened so fast. But at the same time, it was like it dragged on a little bit in the middle, and I don't know. It was just honestly, I felt like those too many characters
There
on top
was
of
a
that.
lot of characters. Like there was
And
like at least 10 at the in the truck, and like once you introduce the brother and Evie, and then you have
yeah,
the mayor and all her goons, and then you have the deputy and the sheriff, and then you have all his policemen, and then you have the people that work at the gas station, and then the female officer at the gas station. There's just like you said, there's like way too many characters and just like too many plots. Like we didn't, not exactly sure. I mean, I get the reason why, because like they're coming in there to do something to the town, and like they don't want to give it up. Once, spoiler alert, the wolves don't want to take their town taken over. Um,
yeah,
but like there is just like too many. Like, why are we following these deputies? Why are we following the sheriff at this time? It didn't really didn't really matter that much to the story
yeah.
at the end of it.
I just felt like they could have fleshed out some stuff a little bit more had they had less characters, or at least have the same amount of characters, but less focus on some of the plot points that weren't really necessary to the story, like you said. I mean, it was like, okay, yeah, I get why they're there, but we don't need to know everything about them. I would rather know about like the wolves and what's going on and what's, leading them to do what they're doing more so than what we got. I don't know. I felt like this just needed a little bit more oomph.
Yeah, and these aren't like the normal werewolves either. They're able to transform on a whim. They're not
Yeah,
like full moon werewolves, so they can just transform whenever. So that was, I mean, that could have been detailed a little bit more. It's sort of like skinwalkers in that regard, where they're just able to transform on a whim. Um,
yeah,
but again, like it just needed again a little bit more character driven for the characters in the film production crew, because like the gay couple, like you barely knew, like, oh, they're, I mean, I got that the one was because of the way he was acting and his voice, but like the other one, oh, I didn't know like they were a couple thing until like when they were about to head out of the RV, and like if we do this one, we both do it together basically. And then we got a little bit, another character came in there, the producer of the movie, like, oh, this character's this thing, and like, oh, we gotta change that part, and like, why do we need to have a phone call with the producer of the movie? It's just that, like, another character just introduced for no reason. It's just like too character heavy, and it didn't need to be, except for the
yeah,
main characters. It's just like I needed more reasoning for everything, and like just like we have like what? How many was there? One, two, three, four, at least 8 characters, and we like barely got that much out of them. Besides Ray, who decided just to leave Wolf Hollow and just go out and start on his own basically, and like, this is my family now. It's
yeah,
just like, and then once they got there, they're just attacked. Like there's no build up for the werewolf attack. Like they got there at the farm or the woods haunt grounds, and then they're
what
just
might have ended.
attacked. There's like no
Yeah,
build up. It's just like boom, you're in the heat of it now. And even the other
yeah,
reveal, even though it's pretty obvious, but like second reveal, like, oh, that's next. It's just like hitting all the beats like too quick. Like there needs to be more build up for that. But no, like it's just like, oh, now this person's a wolf.
yeah, and that was just like, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I mean, I just, like you said, it was just like, oh, I was like, oh shit. I was like, the wolf is already happening. I was like, okay. I thought we'd get a little bit more, um, a little more build up and a little bit more, just like story progression before this happened. But I was like, God, okay.
Yeah, they kind of treated this werewolf, the lycanthropy, more like a vampire disease than in a werewolf disease, because as soon as they get bitten, they turn,
Yeah.
and it just felt like and then like they weren't like full werewolves, especially towards the end there was some of them just got bit and like they just grew fangs and eye change colors and long fingernails and just like that was it. Not full on wolf. It was just the lore of the werewolves needed a little bit more story,
Yeah.
besides they're just a werewolf colony. I don't know. It felt like again they wanted to do like this story, this elaborate setup, but like they didn't. It needed to be more nitpicked and just around the film crew and all the werewolves in the haunt ground, in the farm there at the Bart's place, and just it felt, like there's that whole scene where like the werewolf is like after it gets done attacking the first person of the group of the film crew, it goes all the way to the sheriff's station, cuts the lights off, and starts attacking people there. So it's very sort of inconsistent. Like, do you just hate everyone? I mean, obviously, but still, it's just like, why you stop here? I don't know how far it is from the town from where they live at, but it's just like just traveled that far to attack them people, the people there in the sheriff's building or mayor's building or wherever it is, city building, just to kill the mayor. It's like, oh, we're gonna kill him, kill the mayor and then attack some of the deputies. And it had some good. Like I said, the effects were solid. I like the one where she scraped down the guy's chest and stomach, and just like a big, his guts are all hanging out and bleeding profusely. Like there's some good moments. I think there's a head rip on one of the characters, which looked good. There's maybe a little bit of CGI blood once Lucky gets his arm ripped off, but that's very minor compared to a few of them. So again, like there's some good moments. I mean, besides when it involves the main wolf that's on the poster, but like when the other character transforms into the Skinwalker and like, oh, that doesn't look that good, for what it is. But I guess there's like various types of werewolves as well. Again, like they needed to go into more of the lore, I guess, but I guess I don't know. I
It's
just
just
felt like
whatever they
again,
could
there's a
find.
lot of there's just like a lot of stuff that like needed to be fine tuned to make this a little bit more better than what it is. Like I said, it's nothing terrible, and for werewolf movies, it's not one of the bad ones. I mean, it's perfectly fine. I didn't come out hating the film. I just see what they were wanting to do, and it just they kind of got lost in the script, and they wanted to have all these plot devices and character development, and they
Yeah.
kind of lost the point of the film of keeping it straight and narrow instead of having all these branching paths.
Yeah, it was
That's just like,
definitely very ambitious film, I
yeah,
feel. And I mean, they had an idea, but I feel like they just had a vague idea and they're just like, you know what? Let's just run with it and flesh it out as we film. And because like the lore and everything just felt rushed. They like rushed the werewolves in way too fast. They focused too much on pointless plot devices. And I think that's what really like harmed the film. Because this could have been a really decent werewolf movie. It had it not been, for those like flaws.
yeah.
I mean, we've definitely seen a lot worse
Oh yeah,
werewolf movies.
I mean, look at my number one from last year. I mean, this is definitely better than that. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like sometimes they just get lost in translation, and it's I mean, that's the only term I can come up with at the moment. Where it's just like they have all these ideas, and it's like I get you're wanting to make the scope of the film grander than what you have, limitation wise, but it just like it needed to be more concise and it just didn't need to go down all these side paths with characters that really don't matter that much. Like, did we really need the gas station scene with the clerk and the female cop? Like, was that important to the story at all? No, not really. I mean, it's there for fodder, I guess, but still, it's just like it didn't really serve that much of a purpose. Talking to the producer on the phone didn't serve much of a purpose, and just like a lot of that, like all the conversations with the deputy and sheriffs at the precinct, just like just a lot of nothing, honestly, because they don't serve no purpose. You know, we could have just kept it to the mayor and her assistant because of reasonings for the certain characters at the beginning of the film and wanting to buy the land and stuff. But it just felt like there's just like too many side plots, and we needed to be more focused on the film crew, the brothers, and the werewolf colony at Wolf Hollow. And they just kind of missed the mark there of just like keeping it straight and narrow. And that kind of, like I said, it's the main thing that just really dampened the movie, where you're just like nothing else really matters except for the film crew and the werewolf colony, and we're too busy following all these other characters that don't matter to the plot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish, I just wish they would have fine-tuned this, because I really, I kind of liked the whole idea of like werewolf towns and stuff. I really enjoyed kind of stuff like family and of monsters and all that, trying to protect their own. But it was just like, it just felt like that right there in and of itself is such a good story to tell. And just, I just felt like they could have told it a little better.
Yeah, like those stories worked. Like I said, Skinwalkers was similar in that way. Wolves with Jason Momoa, which is basically a Lost Boys version of but with werewolves. That was pretty good. Just like the coming back into town after being gone for so long, a character, because that's what the whole plot of Wolves was, where like he's been gone, he's coming back, and his brother's Jason Momoa, and there's a battle ensues between the gangs and stuff. But like you could have done the same thing here. It's just like, again, long lost family member left, came back, family's upset, and wants to trying to bring him back over. It doesn't work, and then it starts picking off his new family. So he's trying to save him and stuff like that. And again, like the and like the friend, Ray's friends, like once they find out, again, spoiler, that he's a werewolf too, like they didn't even bat an eye, like, dude, you're a werewolf? Crazy, like you'd think they'd like, up in arms a little bit over, freaking out, like, but I guess not. But again, like I needed more with the werewolves. Like, why can they change on a whim? I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
It just needed more in-depth analysis of the werewolf lore.
Yeah, and
like everyone knew about it too. Like the sheriffs and the deputies all knew about the werewolves too, because sort of like they come in there towards the end, and like, oh yeah, it's a werewolf town, and like the mayor didn't know this, and like the other people didn't know this, but like is everyone, is all the sheriffs deputies and all this, are they werewolves or not werewolves? They got attacked by werewolves, but then like the other ones came in there and like, yeah, they're werewolves. It's just like there's a lot of little inconsistencies like that where you're just like, so do they know or don't they know? It just
right. Yeah, there's definitely like aspects of the story that really like stood out. That was like, I want to know more about this. I want to know everything about this. But you're only giving me like scraps. But instead, let's focus, it's just like it kind of just felt like a whole meal of like scraps and side dishes. And I felt like I didn't get a good like main course.
Yeah, and like we were getting like all this backstory and details on Marla and like her film career for like the first act of this movie, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, oh, forget all that. Like, did we really need to go so in depth with her character? I get it because like she's this aging actress, but like they really wanted you to like get in like enthralled with her character, only for it to mean nothing like 20 minutes in.
Maybe that was because the scheduling issue, and they had like
Maybe.
last minute changes. Because I thought she was going to have more importance to the story than she did.
Well, I guess it's more of a joke, like, oh, she's this big extravagant actress, and that's how she goes out by accident.
Yeah. I got
And
drugs
then
in my
that's when they
purse.
introduced the whole brother angle, and then just like I don't know, just like it meanders too much after that. That's
Yeah,
when all the
and
other
then
characters start to intertwine, and it just becomes muddling.
yeah, just too many characters. It was like Mary had a little lamb. It was just too many characters. Um, too many different plots happening at the exact same time, and it's just hard to keep them all straight unless you're like rewinding and keeping notes.
Yeah, that's a good analogy of that one because like that story is so good of Mary and everything, but they just like put too many characters that don't matter to the story, and it's just there for fodder. And that's what this one
Yeah.
was. Just too many characters, only there to show some interesting gore scenes or get attacked, bitten, however, whatever the curse of the werewolf is. Um, and then like you have some good gore scenes and practical effects, and then it just kind of wraps up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's really, I mean, is there anything else left to say about Wolf Halloween, or have we pretty much
I think
drained
we're
it?
chasing our tails a little bit right now
Yeah,
because
I'm right there with you.
there's nothing to latch on to. The mild complaints that we have,
Yeah, they
there's
needed
not
to like
enough to
keep
like.
on have like more of the outlandish kills, like the guts being ripped out and the head torn and the arm
Yeah.
being ripped off. Like if they kept that sort of aspect afloat instead of just sprinkled here and there, it would have been really fun because I was like getting hints of dog soldiers in parts of the film in that aspect. The way it
Yeah.
was towards the end of that act, where like they had some okay, all the practical gore and dog soldiers. So I was like, why? I was just sitting there like, why am I getting a hint of dog soldiers in this film? And then it just kind of lost me after that. We're like, oh okay, we're not there anymore. But it was like very almost reminiscent of dog soldiers at most before it lost me. But yeah, it's a perfectly fine movie. Um, Again, it's probably one of the better ones. Even with the story aspects and all the characters, I mean, I think it's still better than the three that we reviewed last year combined.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more effort put into this one than some of the other ones last year, and it wasn't as abrasive or in your face compared to some of them. Um, but yeah, again, I dug it for what it was. It's nothing amazing, but for a werewolf movie, and again, it's hard to come across a good werewolf movie. It has its moments where it's perfectly watchable. Um, how long you'll remember it afterwards, that's up to debate, but it has okay moments, and it's a decent short watch. Like I said, 76 minutes with a mid credit scene that's pretty short. Um, but again, it's not the most amazing werewolf movie out there. It's not going to be no all time classic or anything, but for
Yeah.
a short watch, if you're wanting to watch something mindless, I mean, it serves its purpose. And for the marathon, it's a good one to kick it off with because it's right in the middle. It's nothing terrible, it's nothing good. It hits the spots, and it could have been better, but it's not as bad as you thought it would be.
Yeah. And it's the gore was fine. I did want more with it. Because it just it felt rushed. Like, got the werewolves, boom, 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 took a guy's arm off, boom. And I mean, I'd been freaking out a lot more than what he did. Ah, it took my arm. Ah.
Yeah, but we're gonna do movie quotes.
Yeah. It's like, Jesus. But I was like looking at the screen, and when the cop was on there, you see a sign that said, beefy wiener. And I was just like, God damn it. That's going to be the one thing that I latch on to about this movie. Is that sign
Got
that
any
says
food?
beefy wiener.
Got any food? We got beefy wieners. That's
Yeah,
about
I was
it.
just like, I was like, I'm a child. I'm a
Yeah.
36-year-old child.
But anyway, we're gonna have to put our beefy wieners away now. So I think that's
Yeah.
gonna do it for this inaugural episode of the Fall of Beast Feast. We have a handful more on point to discuss in subsequent shows for the remainder of the month. So, Ian, as always, it's great talking with you. And I
Oh,
appreciate
likewise.
everyone for listening. And we will see you as we continue on the Fall of Beast Feast next time on Horror Night Oasis.